Hey plant gang, we've got this little woodland plant here. This is Eranthus or winter aconite. This is a plant that for us in around Knoxville, Tennessee is not that great of a plant. And in fact, anybody above about a zone 7 might have a little bit harder time growing this plant. Perhaps you could get away with it a little bit better if you provided it with extremely good drainage. But it really does prefer to be a little bit further north. So if you're like in Ohio, that kind of place, you really can create yourself a nice drift or a great mass of this winter aconite. For us, blooming at the end of February, towards the beginning of March, about the same time you might see snowdrops bloom or galanthus bloom, you might see winter aconite bloom. So a beautiful kind of array of foliage with a yellow flower on the top that is primarily bracts, but a beautiful early season, and one in particular in colder places than East Tennessee, you can grow very well. If you are in West Tennessee, Jackson, Memphis, this is a plant that you probably don't even try to grow, but we can get away with it a little bit in East Tennessee, especially in colder areas of East Tennessee. But no matter where you're at in the world, if you live in a little bit cooler climate, Eranthus might be a great plant for you to grow for early season interest. So this is in the Ranunculaceae family. It is from southern France, Bulgaria, hardy from zones 3 to 7. Again, you really do top out at zone 7. Just getting a quarter of an inch to a half of an inch tall in some cases, but you can see these grow up to a ½ foot tall when in bloom in large mass, spreading out each plant about 6 inches wide for each plant. Bloom time March is early March for us, maybe a little bit later depending on how cold you are, maybe even into April depending on exactly where you are and how cold it is. Bright yellow bloom really likes to be in a little bit of a shadier situation. In those higher zones, you can push it out into a little bit more sun. The cooler you get. Easily grown in organic, rich, medium moisture soil. Just a really great plant. Again, winter aconite, a plant that is grown as a spring ephemeral, something that's really something to add to the garden that blooms very early in the season. Here's a landscape tip. Wonderful for border fronts, rock gardens, and along paths or walkways.